Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Hope everyone's doing well. It's Friday. Today, we're going to have a talk to honor Malcolm X. His birthday was yesterday, May 19th, and the talk is going to be Malcolm X, System Scientist Beyond Black and White. And some of you may know that I've had a deep interest in looking at change, revolution, from a systems position. I wrote a book several years ago called System and Revolution, which really was to take a scientific engineering systems approach to understand what is a system and what is revolution from a scientific standpoint. And the book takes you through a deep understanding of engineering systems, which I've made accessible to all people, but also talks about what is real change. And we use examples from engineering systems theory, which is a little bit different than just looking at it politically. But today, I want to really honor the life of Malcolm X. You can't really do that in a very short talk. So I want to really look at Malcolm X's life, particularly the few months before he was assassinated, because I think it'll reveal to everyone that ultimately Malcolm X was actually a scientist. He was willing to look at the world, get data, have a goal in mind, which was freedom and truth and health for all in many ways. And he had certain ideas about how the world operated. And as he got more data, feedback, his goal didn't change, but he was essentially able to correct some of his positions. And this is really important because that's what system science is about. You have a goal, you look at what the world is actually returning back to you based on the inputs that you do, based on the actions that you take. And this could be, you think about a simple goal, you want to lose weight. So you would take certain actions to lose weight, right? And based on that, you'll go back on the scale, you'll get feedback, you'll measure it, you'll sense what's going on. And if your goal matches where you're headed towards, then you'll say, okay, great, I'm going to keep doing that. But if the results don't match actually the goal that you said, you're going to have to change direction. And this is what intelligence systems do. In our program that we do you can see down there, Foundations of Systems at vashiva.com/join, we go through this process and we educate people because the knowledge of systems becomes very important in the modern world. When I talk about Malcolm X, one of the things I posted up yesterday was, this was a very famous quote that Malcolm X gave, and we'll talk about the timing of this, but he said, I believe there will ultimately be a clash between the oppressed and those who do the oppressing. I believe that there will be a clash between those who want freedom, justice, and equality for everyone and those who want to continue the system of exploitation. I believe that there will be that kind of clash, but I do not think it will be based on the color of the skin. Now, the mainstream media typically represents Malcolm X as a rabid black nationalist who wanted to kill white people. That's typically the way he's presented. That talk, which we'll put the speech that he gave in this context, but it'll help you understand. To those of you who are joining, I wanted to also let all of you know that if you want to know more about sort of the range of things that we do on the platform that we're building, really to educate people using technology, using science, and then also using experientially where you can meet and connect with people. So you can go to vashiva.com to get that. And as a part of that, I like to play a little video, which really gives you sort of an overview of how these things actually interconnect, where we're coming from. So, and then wait for others to join. And I'll be right back, but we're going to go into really discussing today Malcolm X, his own journey. But let me play this video so it'll give you some context.
We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite, working people. There's only one movement that can do that. And that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training, because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, right? Talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers. Completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people, Dave, to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is a not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is a not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow, some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. And that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done. And it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum. People can go to vashiva.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. The Senate campaign has expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on V as in Victor, A, Shiva, vashiva.com, so people can sign in. They can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, and Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there. But we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to VA Shiva, Victory America Shiva, vashiva.com.
So one of the critical things that we teach in the systems approach is to enable people to understand that there's an interconnection between these three systems. The system of truth, which is applying the scientific method, where you look at the world, you have your ideas, and you take these ideas and you go experiment, right? We have all sorts of ideas from the time we're born, and then you get feedback, and from that you find out some of these ideas weren't right, and some of them were true, and that's a process of discovering truth. Truth is really a process. But truth cannot emerge unless you have a way that you have an environment where you can have the full transfer of information, matter, and energy, which we call freedom. That's what the definition of freedom is that we teach. So with freedom, you can have the emergence of truth. And those two things are not possible in an environment if you don't have physical health, economic health, infrastructure health. So these things are all united: truth, freedom, and health. So I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. And one of my journeys has been to put this in a framework that all of you can understand the physics of this. And I encourage everyone to go to vashiva.com/join, as the video said, sign up for the Foundations of Systems course. This course took me about 50 years to develop, but it's accessible to anyone. You don't have to be an MIT person. You don't have to know math, but you can really start appreciating the science of systems. We've also made it very accessible for people. You don't have to, again, go to MIT. You don't have to go to any major institution, but you can learn this very deep concepts, which will give you a very powerful way of understanding the world, looking at complex systems. And on top of that, more recently, we've also made the book System and Revolution accessible to all people. It's absolutely free. You just cover shipping and handling, and just go to vashiva.com to do that. So anyway, I want to give that in the context of letting you know that there is a way that you can understand this. So let me sort of talk about Malcolm X. So Malcolm X, the reason I said he was a system scientist was that, you know, he was born, like all of us, into a particular environment. His environment was that of a black person in the United States at a time when there was massive oppression. You know, I grew up in India with the era of the caste system, and each one of us has our own journey. So based on our background, we try to figure out the world and try to understand the problem and try to figure out what the solutions are. If you care, some people don't. That's okay also, if you want to change the world. So in that process, you have ideas, right? Malcolm X went through his journey, and he came bottoms up in many ways. He was thrown in jail for stealing, and then he went through the Nation of Islam. I'm not going to go through his entire history, but the experience he had with racism, he wanted to understand how this was going on. The Nation of Islam was a religious organization which promoted the concept of black nationalism. It was led by a guy called Elijah Muhammad. And they also, Elijah Muhammad also preached a certain set of ethical behavior. And over time, Malcolm X found out that the ethical behavior that Elijah Muhammad spoke did not conform to what he actually did. So anyway, Malcolm had a disillusionment with this. He went to Mecca, which was the holy pilgrimage place for most Muslims, and he had an experience there where he started recognizing that some of his ideas didn't make sense. And so I'm going to give you an interview that he gave to a magazine, Young Socialist, right here. Let me bring it up. This was what he gave in April of 1965. And he said, when I was in Africa, in May, in Ghana, I was speaking with the Algerian ambassador who is extremely militant and is a revolutionary in the true sense of the word, and has his credentials as such for having carried out on a successful revolution against oppression in this country. Algeria, as many of you may know, was controlled by French colonialism. When I told him, this is Malcolm X saying, that my political, social, and economic philosophy was black nationalism, he asked me very frankly, well, where did that leave him? Because he was white. He was an African, but he was Algerian, and to all appearances, he was a white man. And he said, if I define my objective as a victory of black nationalism, where does that leave him? Where does that leave revolutionaries in Morocco, Egypt, Iraq, Mauritania? So he showed me where I was alienating people who were true revolutionaries, dedicated to overturning the system of exploitation that exists on this earth by any means necessary. So he says, I had a lot of thinking and reappraising of my definition of black nationalism. Can we sum up the solution to the problems confronting our people as black nationalism? And if you notice, I haven't been using the expression for several months, but I still would be hard-pressed to give a specific definition of the overall philosophy, which I think is necessary for the liberation of the black people in this country. So he gave that interview in April of 1965. And it's a very compelling interview because he was doing self-assessment of himself and recognizing that he may be potentially off. Now, I'm going to share with you one of the diagrams that we have when you go to vashiva.com/join. There's a systems diagram. Let me see if I can bring it up. There's a systems diagram that if you go to vashiva.com/join, let me bring it up here, you will see there's a systems diagram which has a Foundation of Systems course. It has all the things you get in the course, but one of the diagrams I want to take you is this diagram. This is what's called a intelligent systems feedback diagram, okay? And what you see here is that you have a goal, you get output, and this occurs in every engineering system through a sensor. And if your goal and what you're seeing from the output match, then you know that you're headed in the right direction. Example I gave, you want to achieve a certain weight. You want to, let's say your weight is 180 pounds and you want to go down to 160. You stand on the weight scale, you start doing exercising, you start eating the right foods, and you notice you're getting down to 170. You say, great, the controller is you. You make better decisions and you keep doing that. You go down to 160 and you say, great. So this is what's the process of an intelligent feedback system. So you have a goal. You, as the mind, make decisions to put inputs into you, the world. You get an output. Anyway, the reason I'm sharing this with you is, in a very quick way, this is what we call the systems process. System scientists understand this. So, so Malcom X started recognizing that there was something off in his thinking, right? Things that he thought were correct were not right. That he has this contradiction where he's talking to another fellow agent of change, a revolutionary in Algeria, who's saying, hey, look, I'm white. You're saying you want to fight exploitation, but you're just talking about black nationalism. Where does that leave me? All right. So what happens is Malcom X, and this is what you call someone who's truly honest, and a real scientist or a real engineer is honest. So you can see about, Malcom X was also, had come to a different thing by January of 1965. And what he realizes, let me go to this, stop sharing here. So he realizes, actually that interview was before April, okay? Sorry about that. What he realizes is the following. He says in January 1965, he goes, I believe that there will ultimately be a clash, which is a quote I read, but it's good to read it again, between the oppressed and those who do the oppressing. I believe that there will be a clash between those who want freedom, justice, and equality for everyone, and those who want to continue the system of exploitation. I believe that there will be that kind of clash, but I don't think it will be based on the color of the skin, as Elijah Muhammad taught. So the previous one, actually, I said April 65, is actually 64. Sorry about that, so just make a correction. But anyway, so think about what he's saying. He went through a journey where he realized that he had to move beyond quote unquote black nationalism to recognize that the system of exploitation affected whether you're black, white, yellow, green, brown, etc. And that was a significant change in his outlook. And what's unfortunate is, so this was January 19th, 1965. And remember, his life was always, when he was with the Nation of Islam, really talking about black nationalism, the wicked white man, we have to kill the white man, we have to have our own area. And that was, I'm sort of simplifying it, but the transformation he went through was realizing that this didn't connect, right? But the important thing, the cool thing as a scientist is he changes his viewpoint and is able to take in new information. Now, the unfortunate thing is what this meant was that Malcom X would become much more of a leader of all working people, right? He wouldn't just be bucketed as a black leader. And you have to recognize that those in power like to split up black and white people. They like to split up people in the left and the right, Republican, Democrat, Labor, Tory, wherever you are, because that is a very powerful way of keeping the dialectic going, right? So you take, as we talked about yesterday, the elephant, which is a whole system, and you break it up into parts and you have people fighting. And this is a very, very powerful example of how racism serves. The real racism is where you do not address the real issues of racism, exploitation, right? But you rather make it a black issue or white issue and you have people fighting. Now, the unfortunate thing is a few months, literally 1 month, less than a month, less than 30 days after Malcom X came to that position, gave that interview, he was shot. Okay, so, and this is powerful because, which means that he would become not just a Black nationalist leader, but a leader for all people. And as long as they could bucket him as this Black guy who was just talking about Black nationalism, it was easy to isolate him. So it's unfortunate, but that's what occurred. And this occurred to many, many civil rights leaders towards the mid to late 60s. It occurred to people who were starting to move away from a very parochial position to much more of a universal position, but more importantly, understanding the real problem. They were taking a systems approach. So I wanted to share that with you because this is a real example of someone who applied, in my view, system science. Maybe Malcom X didn't know he was doing that, but that's what he actually applied. What's interesting was that for 50 years, they incarcerated 2 Black men in prison for shooting him. And it was only last year they found out, guess what, the people that they incarcerated were actually not who, and here's the article that came out in the Innocence Project, and you can go read about it, but it said, branded Malcom X as assassins for half a century, 2 men are finally exonerated. Here's why that matters. This is just the first step in correcting the record of this pivotal moment in history. And you can go read the article, but it basically talks about, they still don't know who shot Malcom X, okay? Which is very, very interesting, but it leads one to recognize that when we take an approach of finding the real problem and the real solution, right? In this case, that the real problem is exploitation, and the real solution is the unity of all peoples who are committed to fighting that. And that's what a systems approach leads you to. So if you know, our movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health is really about educating you, because ultimately we're not going to win truth or freedom or health by going directly and thinking that we're going to win on their platform of being in the left position or the right position. It's a very, very tempting thing to think you're going to do electoral politics, you're going to be a Democrat or Republican, and it really doesn't lead anywhere. Ultimately, we have to build a movement that is based on enlightening people bottoms up. That's what it's about. And that bottoms up movement comes from a systems approach. That's why I keep emphasizing that I hope all of you take advantage of this learning. Someone says, Dr. Shiva, I'm so grateful you're enlightening everyone, but what if they Malcom X you? Bless you. They're indoctrinating by weaponizing the media and exploiting social movements. It's true. Thank you for sharing that. So anyway, yesterday was Malcom X's birthday. I hope we honor him by all of us moving beyond left and right and taking a systems approach. And that's what I have to share today. One way that I hope you honor yourself is take this systems approach. One of the contributions, small contribution I believe we've made, is we've created a curriculum, we've created a community, we've created a technology platform, so you can learn this, and you can go to vashiva.com/join to do this. And I'll just play a quick video that lets you know that we've created this for you in honoring all these great people before who attempted to make the world a better place. So let me just share with you this, and have a good weekend.
Hello, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Welcome to VA Shiva, the platform of education, technology, and activism, so you may raise your consciousness to win the truth, freedom, and health you need to create the future you deserve. The VA Shiva platform provides its truth, freedom, health warrior scholars the following 3 capabilities. Number 1, an ultimate education that is based on the science of systems. Number 2, technologies to empower you to take charge of your health, as well as social media tools, independent of big tech, so you can connect with other incredible truth, freedom, health warrior scholars equally dedicated like you to winning truth, freedom, and health. 3, instruments for activism, so you become a beacon of light in your online and offline community to educate others, growth and advancement. VA Shiva provides you the foundations of the science of systems, the ultimate education. The science of systems provides you the missing fundamental scientific knowledge to understand every system in and around you. The science of systems will enable you to uncover the real problem and real solution in any situation and on any issue. Concerning the educational component, first you will receive direct access access to me to learn the science of systems in my 3-hour live private online group class that I run every week. Second, you will have access to archived lectures so you can continue your education independent of me. Third, you can test your proficiency in learning the fundamental principles and get a formal certification for the foundations of systems. Independent of this classroom education, you will receive also 4 important books. The first book is the best-selling classic Systems and Revolution, from which you can learn all of these concepts and more. The second book is The Science of Everything, that will educate you on how the science of systems is the foundational knowledge of every system in the universe. The third book, Your Body, Your System, focuses on how to understand the interplay of these systems within your own body. And then the fourth book, Your System, Your Life, will help you apply these principles to other aspects of your life, such as running a business, understanding relationships, and more. Beyond the curriculum and books, the second capability is the technologies that you will be afforded. One of them is a powerful Your Body, Your System software, which is an online laboratory where you can use your body as a system to further deepen your understanding of the science of systems. The tool allows you to understand what kind of system you are. Is your system on course or is it off course? And how the inputs of food, supplements, herbs, activities such as sleep, yoga, meditation, exercise can affect your body to bring it back on course. Finally, to support your education, I've also included a seminal scientific paper that I wrote, which will help you understand that the knowledge of systems, it does not only originate in the modern world starting in the 1920s and 30s, but it actually dates back 10 to 20,000 years and intersects directly with the foundations of Eastern systems of medicine. In addition to this, you will also get 2 scientific papers sharing how the science of systems can also be used to apply to understanding how food is medicine. One paper exposes turmeric from the molecular systems level and how it affects your body. The other paper explores ginger and how that affects your body. That's just the educational piece. As you raise your consciousness through this education, you will likely want to connect with other truth, freedom, health warrior scholars in an environment where you can connect and build community. To support that, I've also created 2 powerful social media tools. One of them is the VA Shiva forum. Here you can start discussions, you can pose questions and meet others and have healthy debates. The other is VA Shiva Social, where you can create your own profile, your own presence, like other major social media tools. However, it is independent of big tech. You can use VA Shiva Social to interconnect with your fellow truth, freedom, health warrior scholars and build community. Beyond the education capability and the social media capability, the platform also enables you to take action by disseminating your knowledge on the ground and into your local online and offline communities. Powerful educational cards and research are included so you can pass these cards to your friends and neighbors that provide them summarized content which further directs them to online research and education. In addition to this, the activism component also provides you many short 1-minute educational video content, memes, and text, allowing you to quickly craft messages for your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and other pages so you can deliver content to educate others and drive them to longer educational posts on VA Shiva. VA Shiva is fundamentally an enabling platform for you to get the truth, freedom, and health you deserve through education, technology, and activism. I hope you become a truth, freedom, and health warrior scholar today. Thank you.
All right, everyone, I hope you have a good weekend. Again, I want to mention to make everyone aware that you can get the book System and Revolution. It's absolutely free, and all you have to do is just cover shipping and handling. So please take advantage of that because it'll give you all the fundamentals, give you a very powerful perspective. So that's some important offering. The other thing I want to let you know is that when you take the course as an adult, which means over 18, that once you pass the course, you can give the course free to anyone. And for all adults, we're giving a $2,500 scholarship. So there's no reason everyone shouldn't take it, but it's really the foundations of arming you with a scientific systems approach to solving problems. That's what it's really about. So you can think from a systems approach, but more importantly, the goal is to make you agents of change so you can go educate young people. So anyone 18 or younger, you can give the course for absolutely free. You can give it, and we've set up a way to do that. So anyway, I hope you have a good weekend. Be well and be the light. Thank you.